Hello everyone, I hope you liked my last story, The Snail and the Whale. So today we're going to look at a Roald Dahl story, and this one, if you haven't seen it before, is called The Giraffe, the Pelly and Me. This is a story that we have on audiobook in our car at home, so my daughters Bethany and Megan are going to help with some of the voices later on. This is the first episode. We're going to do 4 or 5 of them, okay, so it will stop and then in a few days' time we'll get the next one. So, The Giraffe, the Pelly and Me. Not far from where I live, there is a strange old empty wooden house, standing all by itself on the side of the road. I long to explore inside it, but the door is always locked, and when I peer through a window, all I can see is darkness and dust. I know the ground floor used once to be a shop, because I can still read the faded lettering across the front which says, "The Grubber." My mother has told me that in our part of the country, in the olden days, a grubber was another name for a sweet shop. And now, every time I look at it, I think to myself, what a lovely old sweet shop it must have been. On the shop window itself, somebody has painted in white the words "For Sale," S-A-I-L. One morning I noticed that "For Sale" had been scraped off the shop window, and in its place somebody had painted "Sold," S-O-L-E-D. I stood there staring at the new writing and wishing like mad that it had been me who had bought it, because then I would have been able to make it into a grubber all over again. And this is a picture of the sweet shop that he can see that's for sale. So nobody is using it as a sweet shop yet. I have always longed and longed to own a sweet shop. The sweet shop of my dreams would be loaded from top to bottom with sherbet suckers and caramel fudge and Russian toffee and sugar snorters and butter gumballs and thousands of other glorious things like that. Oh boy, what I couldn't have done with that old grubber shop if it had been mine. On my next visit to the grubber, I was standing across the road gazing at the wonderful old building when suddenly an enormous bathtub came sailing out through one of the second floor windows and crashed right onto the middle of the road. And there is the bathtub which has fallen out of the window. A few moments later, a white porcelain lavatory pan, a white toilet, with the wooden seat still on it, came flying out of the same window and landed with a wonderful splintering crash just beside the bathtub. This was followed by a kitchen sink and an empty canary cage and a 4-poster bed and 2 hot water bottles and a rocking horse and a sewing machine and goodness knows what else besides. It looked as though some madman was ripping out the whole of the inside of the house, because now pieces of staircase and bits of the banisters and a whole lot of old floorboards came whistling through the windows. Then there was silence. I waited and waited, but not another sound came from within the building. I crossed the road and stood right under the windows and called out, "Is anybody home?" There was no answer. And there's a picture of everything flying through the window onto the floor. In the end, it began to get dark, so I had to turn away and start walking home. But you can bet your life nothing was going to stop me from hurrying back again there tomorrow morning to see what the next surprise was going to be. When I got back to the grubber house the next morning, the first thing I noticed was the new door. The dirty old brown door had been taken out, and in its place someone had fitted a brand new red one. The new door was fantastic. It was twice as high as the other one had been, and it looked ridiculous. I couldn't begin to imagine who would want a tremendous tall door like that in his house, unless it was a giant. As well as this, somebody had scraped away the "Sold" notice on the shop window, and now there was a whole lot of different writing all over the glass. I stood there reading it and trying to figure out what on earth it all meant. And it says, "The Ladderless Window Cleaning Company. Get your windows cleaned without a lot of dirty ladders leaning against your house." So there, I know the writing's back to front for you, but there is a picture of the sign on the shop. I tried to catch some sign or sound of movement inside the house, but there was none, until all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that one of the windows on the top floor was slowly beginning to open outwards. Then a head appeared at the open window. I stared at the head. The head stared back at me with big, round, dark eyes. There's the head, just there. Suddenly, a second window was flung wide open, and of all the crazy things, a gigantic white bird hopped out and perched on the windowsill. I knew what this one was because of its amazing beak, which was shaped like a huge orange-coloured basin. There's a picture of the pelican. The pelican looked down at me and sang out,
"Oh, how I wish for a big fat fish. I'm as hungry as ever could be. A dish for a fish is my only wish. How far are we from the sea?"
"We are a long way from the sea," I called back to him. "But there is a fishmonger in the village not far away."
"A fish what?"
"A fishmonger."
"Now what on earth can that be? I've heard of fish pie and a fish cake and a fish finger, but I've never heard of a fishmonger. Are these mongers good to eat?"
This question baffled me a bit, so I said, "Who is your friend in the next window?"
"She is the giraffe. Is she not wonderful? Her legs on the ground floor and her head is poking out the top window."
As if all this wasn't enough, the window on the first floor was now flung wide open and out popped a monkey. The monkey stood on the windowsill and did a jiggly little dance. He was so skinny, he seemed to be made out of only furry bits of wire, but he danced wonderfully well, and I clapped and cheered and did a little dance myself in return. And there's a picture of the giraffe with his head poking out to the top floor and the monkey on the next floor.
"We are the window cleaners,"
sang out the monkey.
"We will polish your glass till it's shining like brass and it sparkled like sun on the sea. We are quick and polite, we'll come day or night, the giraffe and the pelly and me. We're a fabulous crew, we know just what to do, and we never stop work to drink tea. All your windows will glow when we give them a go, the giraffe and the pelly and me. We use water and soap, plus some kindness and hope, but we never use ladders, not we. Who needs ladders at all when you're 30 feet tall? Not giraffe, not pelly, not me."
I stood there enthralled. Then I heard the giraffe saying to the pelican in the next window,
"Pelly, my dear, be so good as to fly down and bring that small person up here to talk to us."
At once, the pelican spread his huge white wings and flew down on the road beside me.
"Hop in,"
he said, opening his enormous beak. I stared at the great orange beak and backed away.
"Go on,"
the monkey shouted from up in his window.
"the pelly isn't going to swallow you, climb in."
I hope you enjoyed that. Please join us for the next one next time. Bye.